So that's what I'm saying. The text is like an object. It's gonna change perspective based on where you're standing. I don't know.
Hello?
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
I missed you, baby sweet. It was a day.
It was a day.
Please tell me you're seeing this too.
From Seattle, we're Drinking the Movies. I'm Taylor Baker.
And I'm Michael Clausen.
All right, Michael. We're back to drink some beer and talk about some movies for the first time in a while. How you been?
I've been good. Seen some movies, some good ones, some not so good ones.
Definitely agree with that statement. But not really any of the bad ones are we talking about today. Maybe one not so good one that's still a valiant effort.
I agree. Nothing on here that I hate. That's for sure.
So, before we get to the titles we're going to review, we're going to do some first impressions.
As always.
First, let's do a first impression of the Pilsner. One more cheers and a sip.
Cheers.
How is it, Jen? Tell us.
It's beautiful. Once it hits your lips, it's so good.
What kind of beer?
Well, that's nice.
It is nice.
That's real nice.
This is the Northwest Pilsner from Hellbent. It is, I think, the only flavor they had today that we haven't yet had.
We're still going. No
And
repeats.
it's nice
right?
and delicious. Well, we did, and we will again today because we're recording two at once.
Oh, that's right.
But if we go off of day, then you're correct. We've never drank the same beer in one day.
Then that's how we're going.
That's the new bar.
Good pick. It's tasty.
So we're gonna watch two different trailers. One for a series coming to HBO in early 2019, and one for a foreign film that could potentially be nominated for an Oscar. Shoplifters, and then the HBO series True Detective. Which trailer do you want to watch first?
Let's do Shoplifters.
Shoplifters it is.
Cheers.
家族になりすましていた人たちが一体何を目的にこの家に集まっていたのかは未だ謎に包まれたままの状況です。
子供に万引きさせるの後ろめたくなかったですか？
俺、他に教えられることが何にもないんです。
All right, we just watched the trailer for Shoplifters. Taylor, what'd you think?
My first thoughts are, as the editor of the show, how the hell am I going to cut audio for a foreign trailer that isn't Cold War with all the beautiful music when the oi oi ois?
That's exactly right. I don't think we've done any foreign first impressions yet, huh?
Other than Cold War.
Yeah.
We did do Cold War.
Yeah.
But that has that music and the oi oi ois, and you get a palpable sense of what it's like. And unfortunately, these modern guitar riffs feel like they were plastered in for marketing in Japan, perhaps. Not that they are going to be part of the film.
Right. I think you might need to carve out a little extra time for the editing, just to see what you can do.
Yeah, I don't know if I can do much with this one. I might just be a little snippet and then a back to what they're hearing right now.
Might be even more important for people to just watch the trailer themselves.
Yeah.
Get the visual, get the subtitles.
Listen to Michael. He's got a great suggestion here. But it looks good. I think I'm going to like it more than I liked Burning, but it does look like the craft isn't up to the par that Burning had. I just think about these films intertwined because coming out of Cannes, so many people were talking about them.
Yeah.
Comparing to each other. It's kind of, what would it be? I don't even know of the right comparison. Maybe Mad Max to Blade Runner was a lot of conversations that were happening, even though they were released separately. There's still a lot of consideration between talking about those together, or maybe Her and Ex Machina often are combined in a conversation. This is kind of the two that are intertwined of the year.
Yeah.
And I really like the family dynamic that it has, and about how stealing, it might not be the worst thing in certain lives for certain people.
Yeah, I would agree. I would agree about the craft. We don't see any masterful shots that really blow you away, but it does look like a solidly sweet family drama. Not overly cute, though. I think very, very earnest. just the images of the family just sitting together eating food. You don't get that kind of simplicity, I think, in a lot of American family dramas. To me, I don't know. It's always just an interesting thing when you see characters eating real food, cooking real food in a family setting. I've only seen one other movie by this director, After the Storm, which came out last year or maybe 2 years ago.
I'm familiar with it as a title. I'm not familiar with any of this director's work.
Yeah, it was solid. I liked it. I think I gave it like a 3.5, probably with a heart. Mm-hmm. And similarly, family-centric. So it just looks nice. Yeah. Just very nice.
Very... while it looks nice in those settings, it also looks like it's going to have a very melancholic twist, which leaves me wondering how it is going to end, which is a great way to go from a trailer to a film. I do wonder how it's going to end, because I am on the side of the little girl who might find her family with these shoplifters rather than with her family. Yeah, could be bittersweet. Yeah. I do like some of those angled shots we were seeing, though. I don't know if you noticed that, but like on the beach, they zoomed in on the grandma, and it's just kind of this angular shot, which you don't really see it that often, and it's just appealing. Yeah. I don't mean to suggest that it looks like boring or anything like that with its look, but it's not the kind of cinematography that draws a lot of attention to itself. Right? It's pretty, not going to be talked about for its cinematography. Yeah, it looks
more functional, I think. Probably for the sake of letting the characters do the work, which is nice.
Definitely.
I'm optimistic.
I am too. I think I'll like this a little bit more than Burning. You haven't seen Burning yet.
That's right. Yeah.
I'm gonna make a projection and say you give it a half a star lower rating than you give Burning.
Got it. Interesting. Okay.
That's my projection.
I like it. What'd you give Burning?
I remember.
3. Okay. Yeah, you got room to go.
Yeah. Okay. It's right in that 64 range that we'll get back to next episode with Widows.
Right. Noted.
To True Detective?
Let's do it.
Looks like you haven't slept in a couple days.
I never stop coming up with theories about that case. My job. There's no certainty.
What you don't remember, you don't know you don't remember.
What?
What you don't remember.
Oh, sweetheart. Did you think you could just go on and never once have to look back?
All right, Michael. We just watched True Detective Season 3's extended 2-minute trailer. Not the teaser, the 2-minute trailer.
Full deal.
What do you think?
I'm very intrigued. As I think I've already mentioned to you, I didn't see Season 1 or Season 2.
Oh, yes, you did. I forgot about that.
But my understanding is that they are completely distinct narratives, correct?
Yes. There is a repeating pattern from 1 to 3 that I think is very interesting.
Got some, just sort of like, just narratively similar? Got it.
Specifically the time jump.
Got it. Okay. Completely new cast, right?
Yes.
It's all just consistently detective stories, mysteries, procedurals, that kind of thing. Yeah.
Procedural, in as much as, it's not going David Lynch Twin Peaks crazy.
Yeah.
But it is, on that bend of taking a procedural as far into the cerebral and psychological as you can.
Yeah, it absolutely seems like it, is prioritizing atmosphere as much as the plot itself. I think the mood is thick. Mahershala Ali looks great, right? Mm-hmm. Even when he's not doing much, he just kind of looks intense. He's just an intense presence. I'm pretty excited for it. I think that other actor is Steven Dorff. Is that right? His partner here?
You might be right that was Steven Dorff. Yeah.
He had a kind of a new do. I couldn't really tell with the hair he had going on, but I like him.
Maybe some fake hair on?
I think so. Yeah. I'm assuming they're partners. That's what I was gathering, right? Because these are usually partners, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Who were the partners in season 2?
Season 2 was 3 partners. It was a Taylor, and I don't think it was Lautner, but it could have been Lautner.
Okay.
And then it was Colin Farrell and Rachel McAdams.
That's right. Okay, I knew there was a big actress. I couldn't remember who it was.
Rachel was really good in the show.
Nice. Yeah, so you have seen seasons 1 and 2.
Yes.
How do you think it looks in comparison to those?
I think it looks better than season 2. I don't know that it's fair to compare anything to season 1 of True Detective. That's kind of, to me, that's one of the top 5 seasons of television that exists. You know,
That's the bar.
It's up there with season 1 of Lost, or it's above season 1 of Lost. Is how I should put it. It's that unique thing where you can just you could show it to anyone that's over 16 and just feel confident that they'll be blown away by the experience, which is just one of those really rare things. I think in this modern day and age, where it's just no matter who you are, you're going to watch this show, you're going to be blown away by the performances of McConaughey, of Harrelson, and you're not going to know what's happening or what the hell the Yellow King is until the very, very end. And even then, you're going to have a lot of questions.
I like it. Are these usually in seasons 1 and 2? Don't tell me too much in case I work backwards. But are they usually pretty wrapped up by the end of the season? Sounds like you said you still have questions, but they
definitely leave you with less questions than, say, Mosaic.
Gotcha. Okay.
But they do leave some questions in the air, like I'd say that we felt after Sharp Objects.
Gotcha.
Where although we had some things wrapped up and we understood some of the truths that we had about questions in episode 1, there's a lot of questions by episode 10 or 8, I don't remember how many episodes it had, that are now, just because you gave me an answer to episode 1's question doesn't mean that I feel like I comprehend the answers, you know?
Right.
I want to know what Christmasina's doing now.
Right.
You know, you want to know how she reacted to her sister doing these things. And
right.
So that's how I would best put it. Just because you get an answer doesn't mean that you feel like you got the answers.
Right, yeah.
Which is exactly how it probably feels to be a true detective.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, there are some procedurals that, prolong the mystery only to then kind of say, okay, here's what happened.
Yes.
It doesn't sound like it's quite that tidy, even though that can be, just as satisfying in a different way. This is not what we're getting into.
I'd say it's more of a realism.
Yeah,
One thing that made me just light up immediately is the sight of Scoot Scoot, Mr. Scoot McNairy, as the father of the 2 children who go missing.
I know that name, but I can't put his
he was in
a
television series on AMC. I think it did 4 seasons total, even though season 4 was like 6 episodes, of *Halt and Catch Fire*. And then he was in *Godless* as a main character last year on Netflix. And then he was in *Fargo* season 3 as a limited character in the first couple episodes. He's been in a lot of other movies as a supporting character. I think he was in a Brad Pitt feature where he was a gangster a couple of years back. I think you saw it and didn't respond to it too well.
Brad Pitt gangster movie. I can't think of it.
Yeah, he had like a shotgun. He was like a hitman just going around.
I feel like I remember that cover
in
now.
Chicago. Kill them softly. Kill them softly.
I actually never saw that one, but I know what you're talking about.
I think he was in that one. Maybe I'm just projecting. I don't think you would respond to it well.
Got it.
I didn't respond to it that well, and I don't think that you would.
Got it.
I think he was in that one. He's this great actor who's, I think, out of Texas. I think Austin, Texas. And he brings that realism to all of his characters, and I'm very excited by him being in this. Do you have any idea of what might be happening?
No, I really don't. I wasn't gonna jump into plot because I really was not quite picking up the details. Do you have ideas?
I have one idea because I used to listen to quite a few true crime podcasts, and I don't remember exactly what the details are, but there was a story about government officials that had things for children, and the people working for them kidnapping children in the middle of broad daylight from small towns and then using them as sex slaves.
That's not good.
It kind of feels like that could be what's going on here, because of the way that he's being interviewed at the end when he's older, and how there's all these questions about what exactly happened.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's definitely. I'll just throw a dart at the board and say I think it could be this. I hope to be wrong.
Yeah.
But I also hope to be right.
Yeah, you mentioned that the time jump is something that is similar to the other seasons. Do you mean like?
I don't think that there was a time jump in season 2. I might be wrong, but in season 1 there is a time jump where he's being interviewed about this case.
Got it. Okay.
and then you're seeing Woody and Matthew very old, and then you get a flashback to them actually working the case, and so it works. Non-linearly.
Oh, okay, I thought maybe you meant like one season was in the 60s, the next one's in the 70s or something.
It definitely, one's modern, one's
too.
not modern.
Got it.
But like in True Detective season 1, I think they're being interviewed in current day, and then we do a flashback to then, whereas I think all of True Detective season 2 was current day.
Gotcha.
And then this one is, I think, working the beat in the 70s, maybe.
Gotcha, yeah.
And then being interviewed now. But it did look like he had 3 different hairdos, so I think that unlike season 1, this might have 3 different timelines.
Even more fragmented, yeah.
Yeah. And then I want to say her name is Sarah Gadon, is the interviewer in one of the in kind of the final scene there.
Yeah,
Sarah Gadon. You know
I like her.
Yeah, she's this
absolutely.
really, really great Canadian actress. I don't remember the exact name of the title, but she was in an adapted novel for Netflix from the. Now her name's evading me. I read most of her books. The gal who wrote The Handmaid's Tale and Oryx and Crake and all those books.
It's escaping me, but yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Too much beer already, huh?
Yep. Yeah. There we go.
It's exciting stuff. Eh?
Yeah. I like it.
I think we're going to talk about this on the show.
I think so.
Let's
do it.
Now should we get a little bit wild?
Let's get wild.
You know what they call the trees left up when the fire goes by? They call them the standing dead.
Mom, is that okay?
Of course he is. His pride got hurt. That happens sometimes.
We're talking about
Wildlife, baby.
Directed by Paul Dano, co-written by Dano and Zoe Kazan. Is that correct?
That's right.
Starring Jake Gyllenhaal, Carey Mulligan, Bill Camp, and who's the little fella? I think you remember his name.
I want to say it's Ed Oxenbould.
That sounds right.
Does that sound right?
Oxenbould definitely is the last name.
Yeah.
Confident in that. Don't know a clue about the first name.
Yeah. Ed's kind of sounds like it could be his name in the movie as well. Yeah. So I may be mixing that up, but it's something like that. Definitely Oxenbould.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed going on this. I guess going on this neurotic vacation. You know, you just kind of you go and you enter the theater and you're never talked down to, you're never explained anything.
Yeah.
It's very much them inhabiting the space like a play. And really giving the world the sense that this is a real world.
Yeah.
And then it ends and you leave. And you feel like I felt walking out like the end was very fitting because I did feel like I had a photograph of what it was like for this boy to live in this time. Like I had an emotional, tangible photograph of how that felt. What did you think?
That's interesting. I liked it quite a bit as well. And would totally agree. I think like the sense of place was incredibly strong. I think this is like the late 50s or early 60s. Montana. Did you ever see Certain Women?
Yes, love that picture.
Reminded me a little bit of that in feel, in terms of its location.
We're actually going to talk about a movie that used Certain Women's cinematographer later.
Oh, which one?
I don't remember.
I
know exciting. That I looked it up, though.
Suspense.
Yeah, I was like, Michael's going to love this detail.
Yeah. There are some wide shots early on that just show this small town in, sort of this valley, because you see kind of the surrounding mountains and surrounding hills that reminded me a lot of Certain Women in Kelly Reichardt's kind of visual style.
Mm-hmm. She needs another movie already.
She does. I think she's working on it.
She better be.
Yeah, I agree. It's another one set in the Old West, which is interesting.
That's great news.
Or another one in the Old West, Oregon, Northwest.
This is great news.
Very consistent. And I liked all 3 of these performers quite a bit. We were talking before about how much praise Carey Mulligan has received for this performance. Do you think it lived up to the hype?
No.
Ooh.
No. Because it was so overhyped.
Yeah.
It's just not fair.
Yeah.
It's widow syndrome for me. Like, it's not bad, but it did not live up to the hype. Because she didn't get to... I think that it's really the way that people were talking about it and the way that the film actually breathes are totally incompatible. Yeah. Because she doesn't turn into a shrieking monster or have a complete emotional breakdown. Yeah. She might have an emotional breakdown, but it's not complete. It's not loud. It's withdrawn. And I think that, that's the difference in a lot, just any pickup performer, and then I'll say Anne Hathaway. And it's because Anne gets these roles where she gets to go loud. Yeah. And that's why Anne is so good, because she gets these loud roles where you get to really perform. And this is a quiet role. Even though she is kind of the voice of the film, it is still, Eastern Washington, Idaho, Montana-based film in the 60s where everything is quiet. People don't shriek. People don't speak out. People live and adapt and make mistakes. And I think that it was really, really well done. It just didn't live up to the hype. Yeah. Sometimes that's hard when a film has just been so put through the critical meat grinder by the time you've got it. Like those opinions are hard to sort of separate from the movie itself, exactly. Right? Like, and this came out in January, right? This premiered, I think, at the film festivals in January. Sundance, yeah. So it's been out there a while, so there's already been plenty of takes by the time people actually see it. Just tough, but I think it will hold up, right? Even once all those reviews fade, I think when those reviews fade, it'll really shine. Yeah, totally. Yeah, sometimes you need to just see it on its own terms, I guess, without those opinions in mind. I liked Oxenbould. Love his name, Oxenbould. I did too. If I could point to anything that I thought maybe just held me back from loving this movie, I maybe wanted just a little more variation from him in his performance. Yeah. The person I saw it with thought the same thing. Oh, really? Yeah. Like I liked everything he did. But I thought this movie was largely from his perspective. And thought it was compelling to kind of see his the panic kind of on his face as he kind of watches his parents come undone. And sometimes I just wanted that feeling to go bigger a little bit. I don't know if that's quite the way to put it, but well, I'm not going to project onto you, but I think that a lot of people are saying that. Yeah. And I think that while they might be right, I also disagree. Yeah. Just because I've been a kid and I've seen my parents acting in ways that, it's not normally comfortable for a kid to see their parents act like not their parents, is how I'd put it. Yeah. And instead of feeling like you can lash out and react, I was just like, what the hell is going on? Yeah. And that's what I got the general sense of from his performance. He's like, what is going on? And he's just trying to hold it together the whole time. Yeah. And instead of being able to focus on the fact that he likes this girl and she likes him, he's worried about getting home, and so he doesn't get to have those interactions. And so he's just kind of so consumed with the problems and trying to not be one himself. That's how the story came through to me. Yeah. So I felt like I was getting exactly what I interpreted I would want to get. And I think what Dano really wanted to communicate. Yeah. Yeah. I think that makes a lot of sense. It's something I kind of felt at the time, but, it's now been over a week since I watched it. It's something that's, kind of worn off since I've watched it, where, I've almost kind of come around on it. I think that's why, I'm always trying to think about, why did this feel like a 4 at the time that I watched it? Gotcha. And I think that's maybe why, but, the longer I've sat with it, they kind of change in your head. And in hindsight, just like you said, kind of that feeling just of helplessness as you watch it happen would maybe make it just feel more right on the second go around. Because it starts with him in either as a freshman or in middle school. Yeah, and he transitions to being in high school, and at that age, you're just not making. You're not asserting yourself into the world. Yeah. Especially when you respect your father and you've never known your mom in such a way, right? I almost said Michelle Williams. The Carey Mulligan we get at the start is very different from the Carey Mulligan we get halfway.
Yeah.
Very different. And he's going through that adaptation too.
Yeah.
And like, who is this person? I have to go shopping for food. I have to make my own dinner.
Yeah.
Who is the person in my parents' room? You know, it's... I as the person watching the movie, I felt like I was with him. Like, what is going on?
Yeah.
What is she doing?
Yeah. I mean, in the most concise way, you know, you could describe it as a movie about the ending of a marriage, but at the same time, it's kind of like a coming of age story, right? Like he's kind of being forced to go get a job, watch this reality take place, and then adapt to the new reality of his parents not being together. That's a reality that would kind of leave you stunned, and I do think that is kind of what his look maybe conveys, is just stunned, right, at what's happening.
Yeah, and confused.
Yeah,
you know, like I said, like he just can't assert himself because he doesn't know what he's looking at.
Yeah.
He doesn't have the life experience to know what to do to begin with.
Yeah. And I like Jake Gyllenhaal as well.
At one point, Carrie asks him, "Do you have a better plan for me? What should I do?" Right?
Yeah.
And he doesn't know. And I feel like that kind of sums up his perspective on both parents.
Yeah.
Like,
how should I know? Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Shrug your shoulder, you know, like, what are you going to do? I don't know.
Yeah. If anything, he feels like he should be hearing from them what he should be doing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Back to Jake.
Yeah. The sense of shame he feels, I thought was very nicely conveyed. And I sympathized even while being frustrated with him and his pridefulness. I thought that was just very nicely executed and not over the top, even when he goes big, right? He explodes a couple times, and it still felt actually pretty appropriate.
Yes, so when he went big at the end, I loved it.
Yeah. I don't know if I love that line about, you know, well, son, it's a wild life, ain't it? Something like that.
Oh, yeah.
Was it too on the nose?
That's definitely when I went, and they said the title.
I know.
But he has this other moment where he asks him at the diner, "Do you feel like you can't tell me something?" Something to that effect. Do you think I'll be mad at you if you tell me something?
Yeah.
Tell me. And then he goes insane. And it's great. It is so good.
Yeah. It's a good moment. I've heard some people criticize, you know, the film for hewing to the kid's perspective, and then making it hard to believe sometimes that the parents would involve the kid and do all this in front of the kid like they do. They're like, isn't it a little funky that Jake Gyllenhaal brings the kid along as he's driving to Bill Camp's house to set his house on fire? But to me, it kind of makes sense in light of how that kid acts. Like, he is so sort of introspective and pensive that, like, it would be hard to just not be yourself and just do immediately what comes to mind around this kid, because he doesn't seem like the kind of kid who's going to react or fight back or something like that, right? Like, it seems totally natural to me that they would just be open books because he's just absorbing it. He's not resistant, you know?
Yeah, he's the kid you take as you go do your business for either parent. I do not receive that criticism with openness. Like, I think that's kind of hollow. I think that there's some other stuff that you didn't respond well to that I'd be more interested in considering, like the framing. You felt it was overwrought in framing, correct?
I don't know if I would say overwrought, because it looks so good. Like, it does look great. Like, I think the production design of this movie is fantastic. And I think the compositions are nice. I think the camera is very, very still. Like, we've kind of used the word quiet already. I think calm, stillness, those are all words that I would kind of associate with this movie. I think if there was some modulation in, like, the pace of the camera's movement, that might help to, like, just give this film a little bit more sense of like whatever kind of panic the kid might be feeling. Because I did kind of think to myself, like, surely he's got to be freaking out a bit more than what this film's stillness seems to communicate to me. It just felt a little meticulous relative to what's going on, which is sort of the dissolution of something.
Yes.
That's a terrifying thing. Fires are coming. It's just kind of it's tricky. I don't know. Does that make sense at all?
Yeah, I guess I just disagree.
Yeah.
That's all. I completely understand where you're coming from, but I'm super biased, and when I'm watching the camera and I say, "Oh, it's gonna pan left now," and then it pans left now, you're just never gonna be against a movie that does what you think it's gonna do when it does.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah, that's fair. And it's beautiful to look at. Like, I'm not criticizing the look at all. And it's something I might not even feel on a second go around. I think that's maybe just what would have made it feel even more real to me.
Yes.
If there was a sense of possibility or a sense of danger, which we do get eventually, but when the film is so tightly controlled, that does sort of remove the sense that what you're watching is taking place right before your eyes. That happens to me sometimes.
I don't know how to necessarily communicate it, but I do wonder if there's a certain age gap happening, where because we live now and we grew up in the 90s when things were a lot more, when we talked about in mid-90s, violent and vulgar, right?
Yeah.
You had Stretch Armstrongs and you had slurs.
Yes.
I think at this point in time, especially in this place, he might not have felt the way that you're saying he should have felt, that you should see from the camera. That might not be the way that the youth would feel at that time.
Yeah.
I generally felt that he was really just genuinely not certain of what the hell was happening.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, okay, she's sleeping with him, but is she still married to Dad?
Yeah. What does that mean?
She said Dad is sleeping with someone. Is he? Like, I feel like he's got all these internal narratives going on that are keeping him from having any sense of how to act, that are all competing with each other.
Yeah.
And I think that was mirrored by the stillness of the camera, just showing us what was happening.
Yeah.
Unbiased. I never felt like there was a bias from the camera, which is maybe what I really enjoyed.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense. And I think kind of offsetting that is Carey Mulligan's performance, because she feels very alive.
Yes,
like there's nothing about her that feels too composed or anything like that, right?
She surprised me quite consistently.
Yeah, so if anything, like it's kind of this counterpoint to the stillness of the style of the film.
Yeah,
right?
which I think is a reflection of the
ball of
countryside.
life. Yeah, definitely.
And she's maybe a reflection of the wildfires.
Yeah.
There. And he leaves to go work on the wildfires, leaving the wildfire or Spitfire, his wife, to wreak havoc in the town, essentially.
Yeah.
And then his son, which is half of each, is left witnessing, just left to witness.
Yeah. The performance is great, and just the characters fascinating. I like the scene in the diner.
Yeah. Well, which one?
I guess there are a couple diner scenes.
There are. The one with Carrie or the one with Jake?
Carrie.
Yeah. Yes. I agree.
And she's talking to him. It's just after they've driven to go look at the wildfires, and she's talking.
Him to get out of the car, right?
Yeah, exactly. Okay. And then they're in the diner, and she's asking him like about his name. Like, what do you think of your name? And she said she doesn't like her name. And she says, I always like the name Lottie. What do you think of the name Lottie? And then she's talking about her age, and she says I'm 34, 35 or something like that. And she says, does that seem like the right age to you? Which is such an odd question. I was rewatching the trailer, since it's been a while since we actually watched the movie. Like, it's a funny question to ask your kid. Like,
yes,
how do you answer that?
And
is that the right age?
Pretty uncomfortable in the theater.
Yeah. But I think what I was mainly getting from that scene is her sort of having this identity crisis in a way. If she no longer knows, like, if she's no longer kind of identifying herself like through her marriage and through her relationship with Jake Gyllenhaal, knowing that this is coming to an end,
or through her son.
Yeah, she's sort of in the process like of redefining herself.
Yeah,
and what her future might hold. She's thinking literally of new names, the new ages she's going to have in this uncertain future. Just a really not overly explained way of showing us how she's kind of considering these different possibilities for herself, which I thought was very elegant.
Yeah,
and honest and sincere. Yeah.
Definitely. The one thing that I would hate to move on from the movie and not discuss is how well Bill Camp just fills out this movie and makes it feel like a real town and a real defined place.
Yeah,
he
absolutely.
is such a talent.
So, was I mistaken, but I don't think we saw his face when Jake Gyllenhaal was cleaning his shoes on the golf course.
No, we did not see
right, but that was him.
That was him.
Right? Yeah, yes. Just a nice touch.
Yeah.
That the guy Jake Gyllenhaal's been cleaning up after around the golf course.
Who says nice things about him, who when Jake is getting in trouble in that scene, says no, we made him, and tries to help him.
Yeah. Oh yeah. A much worse movie would villainize him.
Yeah.
Right?
But he's really heroic, and he forgives Jake for his actions at the end.
Yeah.
Which is just a nice touch. He seems to give him that business.
Yeah.
To run. Like he is a very multi-layered character.
Yeah.
Who really just brings it all to life. He was in one of my favorite limited series this year, and he was in Hostiles.
What miniseries? Or limited series?
Let me try to remember. The Looming Tower.
Oh, gotcha.
With Jeff Daniels and I don't remember his name, so I'm not even going to try to butcher it.
Yeah.
It's a Middle Eastern name. Like
Got it.
Ari or Ali Sufan or something like that. Yeah.
He's good. He's good. You're right. He's a welcome presence.
Yes. I gave it a 4. I feel really good about it. The one, I guess, interesting thing is how well executed and defined it feels as a directorial debut. Yeah. I liked mid-90s more, but this showed a lot more something. There's a perfect 5 if Dano lives to be 86.
Yeah.
Is what I got the sense of.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I gave them both 4s. Which one do I like better? God, that's hard.
One had the soundtrack of your youth.
I know. It's like I have a completely different relationship with each of these movies, right? Like to compare them, it's like...
That's why I can just say I liked one more. Because nostalgia.
Yeah. One showed me a world that felt very familiar. One showed me a perspective that wasn't my own, right?
Yeah. And really executed well.
Yeah.
Is Wildlife going to be in your top 10 directorial debuts of the year, do you think?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd have to...
Me too.
It's been a little while since I've looked at directorial debuts specifically, but I'm pretty sure it's close. Well, shall we move on to All About Nina?
Nina? All About Nina.
Let's do it.
Hey, Nina. Comedy Prime.
They're going to give one lucky lady their own 1-hour special.
3 impersonations, got it?
Nina, this is Celine Dion. It's just Cher talking to you right now, and I believe in you.
So we have Nina, Mary Elizabeth Winstead, Common, and that's the only 2 names I remember, if I'm going to be honest with you.
Clea Duvall. Do you know Clea Duvall?
Was that the neighbor?
So the woman who Mary Elizabeth Winstead lives with?
Yes.
It's that girl's, like, girlfriend, I think?
Okay.
Or wife, maybe?
Gotcha.
Yeah. I know Clea Duvall from that movie called The Faculty. Did you ever see that movie?
I did not see it. It's on my list.
It's a good one.
It's one of 3,000 on my list.
You'll get to it.
I'll get to all of them.
Yeah.
Her neighbor, her mother's neighbor, I recognize but don't know the name of.
Her neighbor?
Yeah, who came to LA, and then she had that meltdown at the end.
Oh, wait. The woman.
Yes.
Yeah, I know you're talking about familiar face.
Yeah.
But yeah, couldn't
Like,
tell
I
you.
almost thought that it was Rhea Perlman. But I'm pretty sure that's not Rhea Perlman.
Yeah. Familiar, but I couldn't put a name to it. You're right.
So we saw this, much to your protest, about last week, maybe 2 weeks ago. I convinced you to see it.
Yeah.
I would say.
It was your pitch. Yeah. Yeah, totally.
I don't feel as confident about making you see it now, but I will say it's better than some of the horror titles that we saw in October. So
fair enough.
Batting average is even between us.
Fair enough. Yeah. Glad we saw it.
I'm glad I saw it. I don't know if we would have lost a single ounce of tangible quality seeing it on a small screen.
Yeah, I would agree.
Whereas the title that we saw in the theater, I do think was enhanced by being in the theater. Whereas this title is not enhanced by being in the theater.
I would agree. Not one you need to rush out to see on the big screen. Yeah.
But I mean, the strengths are her performance, her impersonations.
Yeah.
Common.
Yeah, I would agree. I really just wished it was funnier.
Yeah, 100% agree.
You know, until it is no longer a comedy, it's just not that funny of a comedy. Which is okay. You know, it's stuff I didn't hate.
I mean, it's a movie about a stand-up, so you don't necessarily need the stand-up to be giving you funny stand-up like we get in The Comedian.
Yeah.
Right? With De Niro, where we actually do get that. But you do need the life experience to be funny instead of just sad.
Right.
And what we get is just sad. And it's... I don't want to be mean, but it feels like it's a movie made where you're supposed to pity the director and the writer.
Yeah.
And I don't really like that.
Yeah.
I just don't like watching a movie where I'm supposed to pity someone. That's why I liked The Tale quite a bit more than this. That has a very similar message.
Yeah.
Because instead of pity, it's about don't pity me. It's about even though I don't know how, I am strong, you know. And that's what I liked about The Tale with Laura Dern and Elizabeth Debicki and Common.
Yeah. And then it's an interesting comparison. I hadn't thought about that at all. I mean, that one, we are very much involved in the process of her, like, remembering this trauma.
Yes, and attempting to process it. And she kind of goes on this detective journey to process it, right?
Right, exactly. Whereas here, it's a little more like the rug's kind of getting swept out from under you.
Yeah. You're working backwards.
I might get some hate for this.
I'd say you're just working backwards.
Yeah. And I mean, I think it is devastating.
So hold on, when you say the rug swept out from under you, do you mean that you didn't expect that to come? What do you... Go ahead and continue with that, because that's interesting.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I did assume that there was some sort of trauma in her background, but I don't think, like, tonally, it really got us there.
Agree. 100% agree.
Right? Yeah. Like, it really wanted to be fun and funny until it wanted to make its point, and then it shifted gears pretty sharply. And I kind of felt like you didn't... That was a little jerky.
Okay, so I think I agree narratively it thought that it was doing that. But did you feel like it did that? Because I would push back a little bit and say, when it was funny, it wasn't funny. And when it was no longer funny, it was pretty similar to the same tone that it had before.
Well, wait, hold on. When you say it's not funny, do you mean, like... It's intentionally not funny?
No, I mean it's accidentally failing.
Okay, I would agree. Yeah, just to be clear. Yes, so I would agree. It is attempting to be humorous and is not particularly humorous.
Exactly. That's why when you said pull the rug out from under, I'm like, what do you mean? They never had a rug to begin with.
Right.
I guess I'm trying to communicate.
Yeah.
It never felt right. Like I think that after we saw it, you mentioned briefly before we left that Common felt like he was in a different movie.
A little bit, yeah.
I reflecting on it, I absolutely agree.
Yeah.
But reflecting more, I'm like, how the hell did either of these actors perform well in spite of what they were doing?
It's true.
And so this is really like, if you want to see actors that are good in spite of everything else, this is a movie I would recommend to just kind of show someone what that looks like.
Yeah. Sometimes just being in the company of the performance is enough.
Mhm.
And I would agree. They're both great.
And that's why I gave it a positive review, because of the cast, not because of the execution or the screenplay or the editing or any of that.
Yeah. That's as much of a part of it as any of those other things. So yeah, totally fair. Yeah, I mean, Common was great. Like, he's such a welcome presence. It just felt like, I don't know. I was never remotely swept up in their romance. And
yeah, I wasn't either.
I mean, it's fine.
I was swept up in their exchanges.
Yeah.
I liked their exchanges.
Small moments.
Because it's the two best performers exchanging lines.
Mm-hmm.
Or communicating or working emotions off of each other. And that's really interesting for me to see how they're doing that and how they're getting away with it, sometimes in spite of things. Like we were talking about last week with Bohemian Rhapsody. It's good in spite of these things. What Lucy and Rami are doing is good in spite of these other things. And I think this is kind of similar but different in that Common and Mary are doing really good work in spite of some things.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think I like what most of this movie is trying to do. I just don't think it pulls it off.
Exactly. It's definitely a directorial debut that went over its runtime.
Yeah, I would agree. What else? I'm trying to think about like some more specific thoughts I had. You can cut this part out. I'm just reminiscing.
Yeah, that's because there's not that much to talk about. Like
Exactly.
there really isn't. We could talk about when she's at the end talking about looking at her cat or at cat shit while she's being raped by her father, or we could talk about the beginning when she's puking, or we could talk about when she pukes up the whiskey into the glass and then drinks it again. Like, there's just nothing nice to talk about in this movie. And, and I mean that not just with the subject matter, but also the form and the we could criticize it, but it would never stop. Like, the problem with the camera started in the start and it never really stopped, you know? The problem with the writing started in the start and it never stopped. Like, the middle felt solid for a little bit. That's the one thing where I would like maybe say there is something here from this writer-director.
Yeah.
And it was in the middle when they were really mixing stuff. And I think that, you know, once again, I think I've said this a few times about titles this year. I don't know if on the podcast or on Letterboxd, but this is one of those things that's too precious. It's too precious to the director and the writer. Or the writer-director in this case. And so a good piece of art doesn't come through. A piece of grieving comes through. And that is, while it's great for her as a person to have experienced this, this is not how you make a good film. This is not how you make a film that will age well, that will be respected and talked about. And so that's just really disappointing. Very
well intended. Right. I wouldn't disagree with any of that. It's hard. I mean, you know, the moments that kind of stand out are the scenes where she does finally have sex with Common and then has her breakdown the following morning once he's gone. To me, that was just sort of one moment that kind of encapsulated the tonal switches that didn't quite work for me.
See, that's maybe where I enjoyed it the most.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, I mean, that was
like
really
actually
the middle.
seeing something.
Yeah.
Like, I felt like I think what I wanted was for her to change and not be a piece of shit, and she was doing it, and I liked that.
Yeah.
And then when she fucked that guy from New York, after Common left, I was like, this is just, no.
Yeah.
Like, she went from being possibly redeemable to irredeemable as a character.
That's interesting. I don't know. I don't know if I felt that. I mean, so you had problems with who she was as a character.
Yeah, by the end of it, I did. I didn't believe that someone that felt so deeply would continuously put themselves in that situation while excelling at their art form.
That's interesting. I mean, I think I was interested in how this trauma was leading her to behave the way she did, and how she was sort of throwing herself into sex with strangers like she does. I mean,
but then she stopped, and then it felt too neat and tidy that I didn't buy it. If it would have been with someone else, just someone else that was new, maybe. But screenplay-wise, it felt very manipulative and cheap. So I really was just like, this... It might have been not necessarily a reflection of her character, but just, like, me rejecting the screenplay character.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Like, I'm just done with this.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Kind of like saying wildlife and wildlife. That's what it was for me.
Yeah. Just on the nose, I guess. Yeah. Yeah, I mean...
Or here, this is something you talk about all the time. The director and the writer didn't trust the audience.
Oh, yeah.
To come away with the point. They over-exaggerated the point to communicate it to the audience.
Yeah.
I think is maybe how I took it.
That's interesting. I mean, so you thought the reveal itself was over-exaggerated?
Definitely.
That's interesting. I think I was okay with the reveal. It was kind of like how we got there. I mean... That's tough. I mean, it is, such a devastating claim, right? Not a claim. It happened. Mm-hmm. She's telling us what actually happened. That I would be, lying if I said I didn't feel something as she explained
I
this,
absolutely
right?
felt something. Yeah, I mean, it's just the way that the timeline brings it out. Like, what is this? 140, 136, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
It happened too late. It's not quite too little too late, but it's somewhere in that idea of an idea, where it's there's too much middle early filler that we don't need. Like, I don't need her in New York. Show me her showing up in LA.
Yeah.
Like, cut that part out. That's what, 12, 14 minutes that we just get cut out.
Yeah.
And when the police officer comes, we're like, oh shit, this is her ex-boyfriend. We don't even know about this guy. Mm-hmm. Then we're surprised by more stuff instead of feeling these things telegraphed by the screenplay and that.
Yeah.
Whereas my criticism of it isn't that it was bad.
Yeah.
It's that it was all telegraphed.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense. The seams just show.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Tropes are tropes.
Yeah. I mean, speaking of tropes, like, I just felt like all that, deeper character work aside, I think some of the surface stuff just felt kind of familiar and cliche. The smoking a cigarette in the shower, because she's tough and pissed off, and the LA West Coast types that the movie's kind of poking fun at. Some of it is funny, but most of it doesn't feel that clever.
No,
I mean, right? It's just kind of poking fun at these stereotypes that, I don't know, they're not that insightful or anything.
I would give a higher review to a hour and 36 minutes of her just doing different voices.
The impersonations were good.
They were great.
I agree.
They were fantastic. You had a chance to listen to at least one song? Did you listen to any more?
Yeah, a couple.
Got a Girl?
3 to 5 songs or so.
Yeah. So she's pretty good at performing with her voice, right?
Yeah.
I would have rather watched you mirror this narrative, you make her a singer. I would have rather watched that where she's like performing constantly and then going and drinking and acting like this. Like, I think that the conceit of the comedian was not a good conceit for the performer that was cast in the role. I think once you get her, once you get a performer, you got to mirror their strengths, and that they didn't do that with Mary.
Yeah, I would agree. Yeah, I mean, some of her fellow comedians were pretty funny too.
Yes, they were. Those Job were great. Slut.
Yeah, that was hilarious. Yeah, that was great. I forgot about that. And, I think I am just intrigued when movies show us a character processing something through art. Mm-hmm. So I do like that idea. It reminded me of the movie we watched earlier and talked about on the podcast called Love After Love.
Oh, yeah, great.
Remember that the one character in it, it's not a big part of the narrative, but starts talking about how his dad had passed away in his comedy routine.
Mm-hmm.
I think that 60 seconds better illustrated like a person processing something through art than most of this movie.
Definitely. Absolutely agree. That's a great line to draw.
Yeah.
That good call there.
It's hard. I mean, that's why comedy's hard. And just it's a challenge to put stand-up comedy in a movie and to try to make it both the routines themselves both insightful, emotionally revealing and funny.
And good.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. It's tough. But glad we saw it.
Yeah, talking about it, I feel a little bit worse about it than I felt before.
No.
But it's still in that 56 range for me, which brings it up to a 3.
Round up.
You know?
Yeah.
Whereas if it was a 54, it'd be a 2.5.
Yeah.
So you've got it at 2.5. I could totally understand the 54 to 56 difference between us. I'm good with that. I'm going to pretend that that's the difference.
Feels good.
Let's talk about a movie I really, really liked now.
All right.
In The Outlaw King.
Let's do it.
We need to unite Scotland.
Robert the Bruce is an outlaw. Any man or woman who would give shelter to him or his ranks is to be executed without trial.
The people are desperate for justice.
I serve Robert Bruce! Join us to free
I have 50 men to fight the strongest army in the world.
The Outlaw King, although I only gave it a 3.5, I think you did too.
I've been bouncing back and forth.
I feel really good about it. Like,
I've changed
really
it maybe 5 times.
You
between
have?
a 3 and a 3.5.
Oh, really? So you're leaning lower.
Just a little bit.
Yeah, so you're kind of in that 74, 76 range.
Yeah. Something like that.
Right, because 74 is, or maybe it's
a little
it's
lower
more
than
66 to 74 range.
Yeah. Whereas it sounds like you're maybe going higher.
No, there's just so many singular moments that I love.
I would agree.
So one of our favorite actresses, friend of the show, ATJ,
yes,
Anya Taylor-Joy, now has a compatriot in being a banner for the show, at least on my side, from ATJ, Aaron Taylor-Johnson. He
great
is
stuff.
Amazing in this movie. He
good.
Was incredible in the failure last year of the Jake Gyllenhaal, Michael Shannon picture from Tom Ford, Nocturnal Animals.
Oh, got it.
Nocturnal Animals. It failed. I would like to revisit it because I was very critical of it because of the hype that it had. Amy Adams' picture.
Yeah.
But I would really like to revisit it. He played a abductee rapist in that, and was very, very good. I think was nominated for a supporting role.
I remember that. Yeah.
Oh,
that's right. Okay, that movie just clicked into focus again. Yeah.
So
it's in the inner narrative of that movie, right?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
In this film, like, Chris Pine is good, Florence Pugh is good, Aaron Taylor-Johnson is incredible as Black Douglas, Douglas.
Totally
Douglas, say my name.
He is intense.
Like, when I finished the movie, I was like, so when's that Black Douglas movie coming out, Mackenzie?
Right?
Give it to
Sequel.
me.
There you go.
That's what I want.
There are at least 2 occasions where Robert the Bruce makes, some analogy to, comparing them as soldiers to animals, right? He says, now that we're out for revenge, we're not men, we're wolves.
Mm-hmm.
And then when he's giving
That's one of the best moments. Great call.
Yeah, and then he's given his speech at the end, and he says, I could talk to you about honor, I could talk to you about country, but, today we're animals. I feel like the only animal here is
Aaron Taylor-Johnson.
Exactly, yes. Yeah. I mean, animalistic is very much how he is.
When he's in the water and he gets disarmed and he just starts beating a guy up and then takes the chainmail off his head, the chainmail hood, and then he uses that as a weapon as he's holding off I don't know how many scores of men as these boats are slowly being rowed across the water to save anyone that can be saved.
Yeah.
It is just incredible.
Pretty good stuff.
Like, when I talk about, like, maybe the movie as a whole is definitely clunky and over-edited, and I'd rather see a 4-hour version, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Like, with historical movies, I'd rather just really commit
I would
spend
agree.
4 hours in a place.
Yeah.
What he does in this 2-hour cut, because it's 2 hour and 1 minute, or like 2 hours and 54 seconds, so it's definitely like way too short compared to what we've heard is a 3 hour and 34 minute runtime originally before he cut it to the 2:34 that it premiered with.
Yeah.
The moments of Aaron Taylor-Johnson are incredible, and there's so much that you can feel missing in these scenes. The relationship of Aaron Taylor-Johnson with those 2 girls who are the daughters of the other lead, like, you feel that. more time with Florence Pugh, you feel it missing.
Yeah.
And you feel it was specifically edited to communicate the very limited things it needed to communicate.
Yeah.
For it. And that's just a tragedy. It's a travesty.
I know. Yeah, which is interesting because, I think you said it got poor reviews at first, right?
Mm-hmm.
In the longer edit.
I was rereading
favorable.
David Ehrlich, who was at the premiere, his review, because he's updated it to a 3.5.
From what?
2.5 or 2.
Oh, okay.
And he's like his review is kind of it was communicating what it was like. Like this was supposed to be a celebration because he was at the premiere at the Tribeca Film Festival, I think.
Yeah.
And he said it ended up not being that. It was a 50-50 response with half the crowd liking it and half the crowd hating it. So I don't know if it premiered negatively, but it definitely premiered mixed with
that
love
was not
and
the
hate.
goal. Yeah,
and
definitely the goal.
And I definitely lean more towards love with this movie.
Yeah, and I definitely enjoyed it. I think I would agree that I liked it best in particular moments, and maybe a little less in the broad strokes.
Mm-hmm. Like some of the moments where Chris Pine is leaning over the front of a sailboat while they're soaring across the
Great
fjord.
shot. Yeah,
I was like, Michael is going to love this spot.
Great shot.
And then there's other spots that are just so clunky and narratively strained that I'm like, Michael's gonna hate this.
I would agree. Yeah, and it does seem like things were maybe just kind of lost in the edit. That shot was in the trailer. I was just as happy to see it in the real movie.
But I felt like there's more there. That's one of those other things where the way that they cut around that, it feels like there's seams.
I would agree.
They're boxing us into this, okay, we're already here. Whereas there's probably a whole boat trip there where they're talking and something important is being communicated that's now removed. And I think earlier we were doing first impressions quite a few weeks ago for Mary Queen of Scots, where I was like, I don't want to hear them talking about fighting. In this movie, I want to see fighting.
Yes.
In this movie, I want to hear them talk about fighting because they fight. So I want to hear them talk about the fighting.
That's interesting. I mean, to me, there were other things that I felt like they kept talking about that I didn't see, like mainly towards like the first third, where they're talking about, the people are upset, the people are desperate, the people want to fight. I felt like I was told that a lot. Had there just been even more. I mean, we get the kind of one scene of uproar when William Wallace's head is on a stake in town. But I don't know that I ever really felt like I got visual evidence for a country that was ready to revolt.
Absolutely agree.
Right?
Wouldn't it be great if we had 4 more minutes with the wagon driver?
Who's the wagon driver?
Do you remember the first time they take a castles and the wagon with the trees?
The trees? Say more.
There's a wagon that carries trees.
Oh, carries trees.
Into the castle.
Yes, yeah.
If we could have 4 minutes with him and his experience with these men. So have him bring in a load, have him bring the wagon back out, show the whole interaction, have him bring in the other load, and then have that interaction begin to take place.
Yeah.
It just would have brought more life. And I feel like it might be there.
Yeah.
This is one of those weird movies where you can feel like there's a lot more there, and so it's hard for me to rate it, you might say objectively, because I'm almost going to give it leniency for what he shot and what he doesn't feel like he can put in because of critics.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, it's a tough sell to sell a 3-hour long movie.
I know. He should have made it a 4-hour movie.
Yeah, I agree.
4 hours, it's easier to sell, right?
Yeah, but it's like, if you're going to make a movie with this ambition scale that costs as much money, why not go for broke anyways?
Yeah.
Like, it's already, I think it already costs $100 million. Like, why not just put that material in there?
You know they've been practicing this director's cut business.
Yeah.
So I think we might get it, because they just did Doug Liman's Fair Game director's cut last month. I just watched it recently. It's a very good cut. I'd love to see a director's cut of this, or an extended cut rather than a director's cut. Just call it what it is.
I would agree. I mean, I don't know. With Netflix buying the titles, I don't know what director's cuts look like. Right? If when they own the rights, but like, I would love to see that.
I mean, you would imagine that they'd just say go crazy, and then they'd compile the data and say, okay, we're going to take it to our own editor now.
Yeah.
We don't like the original one.
Yeah.
Or We liked the original one. It did fine.
Yeah.
Yours was fine.
Yeah.
There's an even better one.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, it's almost like, I mean, I didn't give it a great review because it is like a little frustrating to want more for something that was so ambitious. Like to not love it is sort of a disappointment when there's that much there.
But that final battle scene,
great
that's
battles.
A star.
Great battles, like from start to finish, all the battles are great. Yeah, the performances were good. Did you like the very first extended long take at the start of the movie? Do you remember?
Can you narrow it down for me?
I think it's the first shot where I think it's a single take up until the point that the like ball of fire gets catapulted onto the castle.
Oh, that was all one take?
It was all one take.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I didn't. So, that's great.
Yeah.
The trebuchet, great.
What was the trebuchet?
If it was a catapult, I don't know.
Oh, gotcha.
The Greek fire was great.
Yeah.
It was all great.
Yeah.
The problem for me there is the transition, the quickness, how it just accelerates like crazy.
Yeah.
Like, we don't get to know what Chris Pine's life is like before Florence comes. We don't get to know what his life is like with Florence. Mm-hmm. Like, that, it feels hollow. Like, you know, do a 4-hour miniseries 1 hour at a time. I don't care. Just give me 4 hours of this stuff.
Yeah.
There's just not enough. But yeah, I liked it. I liked a lot of what I looked at. My problems are editing and narrative. Cuts.
Yeah, I would agree. Yeah, I brought that up kind of for the same reason, where I was like, wow, this is kind of an impressive take to do all this in one scene.
So, hold on, they have the sword fight?
All one take.
Oh my god.
Which is impressive, right?
That's technically stunning.
Right. Like, I almost could have put that later in the movie. Not that scene, but it was it was like this kind of bravura sequence right out of the gates. I was like, wow, we still have not cut. And it was kind of impressed. I think some more of that throughout, like some of those other battles might have really kind of like upped the dramatic force for me, even though I liked the battles.
If they were single takes?
Yeah.
A single take battle sequence? Dude, a single take duel is hard enough. A single take battle sequence with fucking 160 different stuntmen plus actors?
I don't know. I guess I felt like that was
and horses? Like, you want someone as a director
maybe I'm
to
asking
die.
for too much. Maybe I'm making the wrong point, which is that
I mean, I'd love to see what you're talking about, but I mean, for God's sakes, Birdman barely exists.
Yeah. I think I have maybe made the wrong point, which is that I think it was an impressive take too early when I needed characterization more early on, and you know, get me connected with these people first, and
what
give
if that boat is a long
save
take?
that for later.
What if that boat was a long take?
That would be great,
right?
Yeah,
like, I bet you. I don't know how technically impressive they'd be, but I bet you there are other long takes.
Yeah,
because there is that. The long take that really swept me away was the end. When Florence and Chris Pine are being reunited on a beach without any other footprints. Yeah. And the way that the camera goes around them.
Yeah. Without
showing anybody else or any footprints or giving the impression that there's anyone else there. That was technically impressive. And I think that was at least a 40-second sequence.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's great stuff. It's more just like I felt myself by the end of this sequence being impressed, but I just went so long without getting a sense for who these people are, right? It just took too long. Some of the best stuff I think could have been saved in a way. And again, it's kind of editing. Like, stuff just could have been shifted around, I think, and all this effect could have just been more powerful than it was.
Yeah.
But there are moments that are just great. The battles themselves. I mean, we just don't even get like epic medieval warfare very often.
No,
like,
we don't.
I literally cannot think of like the last movie like this that I watched. It's been forever.
I mean, my favorite films when I was in school were like Troy and Kingdom of Heaven. And I can't tell you that there's been one that did that for me since.
Yeah.
So I feel like in the last 10 years there hasn't been.
Yeah. Yeah. It's expensive to do it well.
Yeah. And it's not attractive to do.
Yeah.
Because it's
not really
just
a sexy sell.
Yeah. What do you, you're going to kill the pretty stars. Don't do that.
Yeah. I mean, you try to sell it like it's, Braveheart.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people there probably haven't seen Braveheart.
I would love to see an edited version of this movie where they just have Mel Gibson and the town square dead.
Ooh, yeah.
Right? Like, wouldn't that be great? Like,
completely
at least get, like, his body dummy like they did for Arnold in the Terminator movies.
Yeah.
Like, get young
That'd be nice.
model version of him made as a dummy and just
be a nice touch.
Strew him up all gutted and everything. So the viscera scenes are incredible. That's the one other thing I wanted to draw attention to. When they string up his brother.
Yeah.
After they take the town with the religious folks, I guess they're Catholics at the time.
Yeah.
And they disembowel him as they hang him.
God, yeah.
I did not feel like I was watching a movie. I felt like I was watching someone be disemboweled.
It was pretty intense.
And
I was not expecting it.
Right.
I was shocked. Yeah.
But that's kind of how all the fight scenes feel. Like, none of them feel fake.
No.
Like, when I was looking at them, I never thought that you're cheating there.
Yeah.
Like, when I watch some of my favorite stunt coordinators or choreographers work in, like, The Raid or The Raid 2 or that picture that just came out on Netflix, I don't remember the name of it, but I loved it. It's super easy to see the seams and know, like, it's fake, but you don't care. Or Assault on Cell Block 99. Or later this year, hopefully, we'll get to see Dragged Across Concrete with Mel Gibson and Vince Vaughn.
Yeah.
We're going to know what's fake and what's not.
Yeah.
But in this movie, somehow we don't know what's fake. And that is really special.
Yeah. Yeah. Another good thing about Bohemian Rhapsody is seeing all that fake digital crowd makes you really appreciate when a crowd doesn't look like that.
Right? Yeah.
I'm like, this looks so great now by comparison.
I just edited the audio for Bohemian Rhapsody last night, so I had to watch the trailer again, and I definitely thought about that terrible CG crowd.
Yeah, and I never felt that
I can't
here.
believe they were marketing that as an attribute. Do you remember the IMAX trailers marketing it as, see this in a large scale format for the crowd? Like, what?
Like, no, don't. Don't. Look away. I agree. All those widescreen shots of, one army charging at another, I think were very lifelike.
How about using the roads?
Oh, yeah.
That was insane. How large an army would get when they were confined to the road on horseback. I was just thinking to myself, why aren't you doing Guy Ritchie's King Arthur? Attack from the trees.
Yeah. Right.
Where's Keira Knightley when you need her?
Yes. I mean, great stuff. I just wish it kind of amounted to something more when
tangible,
it came all together. Yeah.
So I guess the last thing is cinematography was incredible, right? Like the sweeping vistas and those landscape shots. We already touched on them, but I mean,
shots,
they are stunning. Like some of the best single shot of the, or I guess single shot moving pictures of the year. If you just go with some of those sprawling landscapes in the extended time lapses, it's just incredible.
Starting really wide and then kind of narrowing in on
and
whatever
you feel that,
army is marching.
Like, as I was watching, I was thinking about, this is the guy that made Hell or High Water that really did those desert vistas so beautifully.
Yeah.
And I really did notice that. And also how he did the roads in Hell or High Water during that final shootout, I think were really similar to the way that he was using the roads for that final battle scene.
Yeah.
Which I just thought was kind of an interesting thing, the way that he might think about roads. Because there are certain directors that think about these structures and visually depict them very special. Jeff Nichols is one person. When you were talking about how often do we see a family sit down and eat real food, I was the only person I was thinking about saying was Jeff Nichols.
He would
Jeff Nichols would do it.
Yeah.
But the way Jeff Nichols depicts a road is very special and unique, and it feels like it's blood.
Yeah.
And the way that he depicts a road feels very separate. Like it feels like it's a segregated moment from the rest of time.
Yeah. I would completely agree. And then it's weird to get those wide shots where it looks stunning, then to get on the ground and think to myself, like, my God, this is muddy and wet and just looks
gross.
Awful.
Yeah,
absolutely terrible.
Get me out of there.
How did you get this so muddy?
I don't want to be in here.
Like, God,
the bloody
just
bog.
A terrible time to live.
Yeah.
I think it's right when he walks into a little wetland and he says, we know the land better than they do, or something like that. And then, the entirety of that final sequence just looks like they are literally, like, trudging through, like, a foot of mud.
Yep.
And, like, just the attention to earth as just shit you gotta walk through. Like,
yep.
it adds up. That makes a difference.
And the fact that they don't have the horses in the roads. So it's showing this class difference by using the territory. Like, I don't know. This is one of those ones, the more I talk about it, the more I'm like, yeah. It's a good movie.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, maybe it's partly just because I wanted it to like be a 5.
Yeah.
Like it's partly just disappointing. Like it's so big, it's so sweeping, it's so majestic. Like you want it to be perfect.
Is it what's the other Netflix title we just watched? Skarsgård, Kyo.
Oh, Hold the Dark?
Yeah. Is it maybe?
Oh, I think I like this better, but it's similar
but
kind of effect.
Is it maybe similar where it's you expected a 4.5, 5, and you didn't get at all what you thought you signed up for?
Yeah, definitely a similar feel. Here, there's just that added effect of like how costly it is, how much work this takes, and the fear that like if it doesn't succeed, if it isn't great, then the next one won't get greenlit. Like you want them to succeed. You want him to be great,
he feels like
it's just a lot of pressure.
Like a fantastic I want to watch every movie he makes for the rest of his life.
Yeah.
He's a special director and he does really good things with landscapes.
Yeah. I mean, I hadn't really been able to connect dots between the two of them, but I like that idea of how he sort of connects his locations through roads and infrastructure. That's a nice touch. I like that.
Yeah. Any closing thoughts before we get to Le Deuce for the final time?
I'd recommend it.
I would absolutely recommend it. It's free to watch if you subscribe to Netflix.
Yes, sir.
And, Chris Pine was good. Florence was good.
Yeah.
It's just Aaron Taylor Johnson is that next level incredible talent.
He's the one to watch.
This. He definitely gets to do what he didn't get to do in Avengers, which is be good.
Who is he in Avengers?
Quicksilver? Scarlet
He's
Witch's
one
brother?
of the Avengers? I don't remember
the
him.
one that you haven't seen. The one before Infinity War, Age of Ultron. When...
Is he a bad guy?
No. He's a mutant, but not one of the Fox... Or he's one of the Fox mutants that can also be a Disney mutant at the time.
It's convenient.
He's Elizabeth Olsen's brother within the film. And he is basically the Flash. If I remember correctly, he was killed.
Is he cool?
He's alright. You see him for 5 minutes.
Not
total.
as cool as he is here?
No. Cool. No, the Black Douglas is one of the coolest characters of all time in film, and definitely one of the top 5 coolest characters of the year.
There you go. Watch it for Aaron Taylor Johnson.
Look at you.
Look at you. Look at us.
Bound for glory. Who would have thought, right?
The Deuce?
El Deuce. The last 3 episodes of season 2 of The Deuce. Did you just watch all 3 of these last night, or did you space them out?
I watched 1.5 last night. I watched 1.5 this morning.
Oh, okay. Very fresh in your mind. I watched the last episode last night. The other 2 I watched a little while ago.
Yep.
We can talk about them in summation if you'd like.
Yeah.
Sometimes that's easier. It's a finale, essentially. Or maybe even just broader. Did the final 3 shift your feelings at all about the season on the whole?
Definitely ended more positively.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because we spent a lot more time with James and Maggie in these last 3 hours than we did in the first 4.
We did.
6, rather. One thing that I was surprised by, I just want to bring up, is how much time we spend with his brother, both James's, they're twin brothers, but their brother.
Yeah.
How much time they spend with him. And his son.
Yeah.
Specifically, his son had so much more time than you or I expected.
Yeah,
I was like, what the fuck is the point of this?
Right, I mean, did you enjoy it?
My thing, I didn't not enjoy it. Mm-hmm. But my thinking is, who's he going to be recast as in 10 years?
Yeah.
Because that's a juicy part.
Yeah.
If he's like running the parlors in 10 years.
Yeah. I agree.
That's what I'm interested by. I thought the mob being intertwined with the porn didn't pan out as strongly as I thought it would.
Yeah,
But
I thought that might lead to a something more dramatic than it did. Yeah,
they killed off one of the best pimps for no good reason.
Oh, you wanted CC to stick around?
No. My homeboy, Method Man.
Ah, yeah.
Like killed him. And his straightened hair.
He's probably got to go on tour or something.
Yeah, he was big pimping in the show, man. I'm going to miss him.
He was great.
So we lost Dorothy, who you called for the death of, from CC, but we don't know who killed her still, right?
I don't think we do.
I don't.
Yeah,
I was like, I might not have been paying close enough.
That's what I thought, actually. Especially because I watched the last one. Apart from the other two, I was like, shit, did I forget who killed Dorothy?
Yeah.
But I think that is
But
unknown.
we also find out that the guy that was trying to bring about reform on the streets left the town. I don't remember seeing him leave.
He left New York City?
Yeah. That's part of the end of season 9. Like, where is he? He left.
Episode 9.
Yeah, sorry, episode 9.
Why do I not even remember that? Because he's back in the final episode, right? Or no?
No. I don't remember him. Are you talking about the guy that's reforming New York?
Yeah.
No. I'm talking about the guy on the street level.
Oh, got it.
Street.
Gotcha. You're right.
The pimps and the prostitutes.
You're right. He did leave.
But did we see him leave?
Going unclear. I just remember them talking about it in the last episode.
Oh, okay. Because I'm wondering if maybe he got killed and we didn't find the body yet.
Oh, I hadn't even thought about that.
Maybe all of them got murked.
Oh, that's fascinating.
Because they were causing problems for all the pimps. And then we see the gap tooth girl.
Yeah.
She comes up and tries to talk to the pimps.
Yeah.
And they're like, get away. And they all seem like they're kind of scheming. So I'm wondering if maybe the pimps
I had never even thought about
decided to kill everybody that was trying to get in on their game.
That makes way more sense than that character just disappearing and them not telling us where the hell he went.
Yeah.
Yes, that makes way more sense, and I like it way better.
Cool.
Very satisfying to see CC get killed.
Mm-hmm.
And I was happy the brother did it. I think he
with
was...
the hammer?
Yeah.
In the hallway. James Franco with the hammer in the hallway.
Black Frankie saying something like, you killed the shit out of that motherfucker.
Mm-hmm.
Great way to cap it off. Don't you kind of want to see Red Hot and full? Just to see what that looks like?
I'm definitely interested to see Maggie's full editing choices on display.
Yeah.
And what she cuts to and when. And how she's manipulating the audio against the visual image. Like, I'm actually technically fascinated by what that film would look like.
Yeah.
And it's a pity we don't get to see it. Like, I'm very much surprised that they didn't do some sort of a X-rated movie for HBO.
That'd be cool.
You know, late night HBO, where they actually released this to tie in with the Deuce.
Yeah, it wouldn't even need to be long.
And it feels like they could have just shot it as part of the shooting the Deuce. Like, it wouldn't have been that hard.
It would have just been, like, incremental.
It would have been very interesting. But then I suppose they would have had to shoot a legitimate pornography, which would have definitely not been okay with probably most of the actors of the porn within the show.
Yeah.
But I definitely wish that existed. I definitely agree.
Yeah. In the last episode is where Laurie's particularly freaked out about whether or not CC will actually let her go.
Yes.
She's having a breakdown. I remember you saying you were unsure about her acting. Are you still unsure, or did you like her?
No, I'm certain I don't like her acting.
Not a fan
at all. No, her breakdown at the table.
Yeah.
God, kill me.
Oh, I didn't like it.
Terrible.
I remember watching
the stuff
that.
My nightmares are made of.
Yeah, it's weird. For the longest time, I've really liked her, and then I watched that, and I was like, yeah, Taylor's not gonna like this, and I don't think I like it either. Which is a bummer. I was a little disappointed. I just felt like that should have been a real moment of
catharsis.
Yeah, exactly.
They definitely, she was able to communicate
I still felt it,
the transference of her being within the moment, but I didn't like it.
Yeah.
Whereas with a different actor, a more talented actor, I would like it.
Yeah. Yeah. I would agree. That was when I finally thought to myself, yeah, I think Taylor's onto something there. Yeah. But in terms of her character, just the idea that she can't stop thinking about where CC might be when he's going to show up, that I did feel.
It's an interesting idea, right? Because it's about that domestic abuse PTSD thing.
Totally. But yeah.
The problem with
the performance,
I think it's a problem with the show. It's just too quick. There's too many characters. There's not enough long takes. You know, I'm really happy with what happens for Darlene by the end of the show, but I don't feel like I went there with her, which is a pity. You know, like I think some people really like what's happening and how fast it's moving, but yeah, I think if these actors are really capable of taking us there, I would rather go slower, and I would rather really be brought there, and I would rather experience the streets as it happens, rather than have 3 deaths in 3 episodes.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, to me, it's kind of similar in structure to Mad Men in that it's not plot driven, right? I don't feel like
character
Mad Men,
driven.
Yeah, I don't feel like.
But the difference is you spend seasons with them in certain roles and going through one thing, right? Like Darlene's abortion is a 16th of an episode.
Yeah.
Peggy's abortion is half an episode.
Yeah.
And then has implications for seasons to come.
Yeah.
And her interactions with him. You know, like it's just a different type of a character study.
Yeah.
Which I'm definitely more responsive to.
Yeah. And like had this, you know, been able to go for 10 seasons, to watch, you know, to see what season 10 looks like, to see the Deuce after 10 seasons, and then to go back and be like, wow, like I have seen this city evolve over however many years. I don't know that I'm going to feel that at the end of this anymore.
No, it's gone.
Just a bummer. Like, I'm still really enjoying it, and I still do like the feeling of just kind of being dropped into these characters' lives. But as these 3 episodes in particular felt like they were accelerated, is when I felt like I most agreed with your criticism that it was speeding up to its detriment.
Unfortunately. Are you still giving it a perfect 5?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. I was going to say,
really
when I finished the show, I like, no offense to anyone, but I don't understand how someone can watch this show and at the end think it's a perfect 100.
Oh, definitely.
You know what I mean? Because that's what a 5 out of 5 is. You're saying it's a 95 to 100 or a 96 to 100.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
it could be a 96.
Otherwise, if it's a 94, you got to round down, right?
Yeah,
and 95 is borderline either way. But if it's a 94, then you got to round down to a 4.5.
Yeah.
So telling me it's a 96, like I'm just not seeing what someone else is seeing at that point.
No.
Like I just am not.
Season 1, maybe. I mean,
definitely.
It's been a while. It's further
season
in my
1
memory,
for me is a 4.5 to a 5 for sure. It's strong. It's got the gangster narrative. It's got the street narrative. It's got the coming pornography narrative. There's an interesting conversation happening in moments with David Krumholtz, right, where he's got the VHS player and he's showing how you can manipulate the porn at home and how they're going to sell these porns for $100 a pop at the video store, and you're going to have the mail order rentals for the VHS. Like, that's all really interesting.
Yeah.
But it's 2.5 minutes long.
Yeah.
You know, so there's these transitions happening that we used to spend a quarter of an episode with happening in mere moments. Yeah. And that's where this accelerated timeline is just deteriorating from the whole piece. Yeah. I would agree. I mean, that was a moment of great interest, I think, with the VHS tapes. That made me think of Boogie Nights again. To me, it's like 2/3 of the way through, maybe halfway in Boogie Nights, where after introducing us, you know, in the 70s, the title card slams and it says the 80s, and then they're talking about VHS, and these people's world kind of comes undone, right? Like the culture around what made this like the golden era of porn starts coming down as everyone's just retreating into their homes. So, and that's exactly where what's her name is going.
Who's that?
Our star. I don't remember her name. Bad actress. Lori. Yeah. That's exactly where Lori's going, is to LA.
Yeah, exactly. Right? Yeah.
And that's one of the things I wanted to ask you. Do you think she's going to be in LA from now on? Or do you think she's coming back to New York? Because I kind of feel like she's going to be in LA now.
I kind of think so, too.
Yeah, like they kind of wrote her out.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I was maybe just a little confused about what exactly that means now that the mob essentially bought her, right? From Cece. I don't know what that exactly entails because mobs aren't pimps. I mean, we haven't seen that.
What I'm thinking is, right, this is the great transition period where cities are taking back the streets.
Yeah.
The mob can't own a street if the city owns the street. So what's a mob going to own? A mob is going to move to own what a pimp used to own, which is something that worked on the street. So now you can't work on the street. You have to work somewhere else. So to me, it's maybe the mobsters owning the porn industry and the porn game.
Yeah.
Perhaps in the porn stars.
Yeah.
And so I'm thinking maybe we see a transition out of New York to LA.
Definitely.
For the mob.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's...
And to honest living or honest earnings.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I was thinking about as she's weeping in the diner. I thought, that's great, but the mob bought you. I mean, I don't know what this holds for
But
for
does
her.
she know that?
No, I don't think so.
I don't think so
But
either.
I mean, that's why it was a complicated scene. I'm like, I'm
Yeah,
still
because
concerned.
the way that her agent tells her is she's got interest for a triple feature.
Yeah.
And exclusive rights.
Yeah.
And then she wants to go to the bargaining table for her.
Yeah, so whether or not we're gonna see her live with total freedom in LA, I don't know if I see that happening. Rudy's gonna be like, "Where's my asset?" So that could be a problem.
What happened to Cece's money?
What money?
Didn't he get 15 grand?
From the mob.
Yeah.
From good question. Maybe they just got to pocket that. I don't know if they paid him or not.
I feel like they already paid him.
Yeah, I guess so.
Because he already gave up on her.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Where's the, there's a lot of interesting stuff that they just aren't going to give us answers to.
Yeah.
There's kind of that True Detective thing where it's like, not only did you not answer my questions in episode 1, you're not answering any of my questions, and now we're going to jump a decade, and I'm never going to get the answers.
Yeah. Yeah. In a way, I wouldn't, I mean...
Do you think they kill Krumholtz?
Who's Krumholtz?
The guy who's running the studio for Maggie. She's working with. He used to be fat, now he's skinny. He was a communist in Hail Caesar. Your favorite picture ever made.
I don't think so. Do you?
I don't know, because at the end he's eating fries out of his drawer.
Yeah.
And, if we're going to jump 10 years, he could have died from a heart attack.
That's interesting. What a loss.
Right?
I hope he's back for season 3.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think he's such a good kind of point of tension between the mob now and Candy, right? Like he's the one who's sort of like bearing all that pressure. Yeah. I think that would be maybe a mistake for the sake of dramatic tension, right?
Like maybe we transfer. See, I don't know what the show is doing by jumping a decade. Like, are we staying in New York or are we following the porn game? Because to me, it's like you move him to LA. You make him like one of the main porn producers, who's a shell corporation essentially for the mob. Yeah, and then Candy's working for him in LA, and we just move completely to LA.
Yeah, yeah.
But then what happens? Does Vincent move up to Connecticut?
I know it is weird in a way to want the show to move to LA because it's the Deuce.
Yeah,
but to me, I think about that season of The Office where Jim was in a separate branch.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of think that is maybe where season 3 goes. Is now we're split maybe between 2 locations.
Yeah.
Because
I think Ann Perkins is going to be beating the shit out of Jim Halpert at Call of Duty.
I just hope Rashida Jones shows up.
Oh, that'd be...
It's really what I'm hoping for.
I'm going to give the show high ratings.
I think that's maybe the wife for James Franco.
You're really selling me, aren't you?
I think that's even where the branch he went to.
I like it. I like it.
It's an option there. So yeah, still really enjoy the show, but just wish there were more seasons than we know we're gonna get.
I think at the end of episode 7, I was like, "Oh, we're back! Like, I'm back in New York. Like, I really feel like I'm back. Can I have 10 more episodes of being here?" while this is alive.
Yeah.
And that's the problem.
Yeah.
At episode 7, I felt like I was back in the city.
Yeah.
And then it ended 2 episodes later. And now we're jumping time. Like, whatever the show has is not being brought. Whatever its greatest strength was is completely lost.
Yeah.
And now they're just finishing off a narrative because they think that that's the right way to pay it off.
Yeah.
It's a real unfortunate thing.
Where are you sitting on it with the star?
It's a high 3.5.
Yeah.
For season 2. For season 1, it's a 4.5 to a 5.
Yeah. Come down a bit.
Yeah.
That makes sense. That's fair. Can't argue with that. I'm higher. I don't watch as much television as you, so I also don't have as many points of comparison. So it is higher for me.
Yeah, I finished this after watching Homecoming.
Yeah.
And
there you go.
while I'm in the middle of the Romanoffs.
Yeah.
Which are... The Romanoffs is directed by the guy who made Mad Men. So I'm watching...
Right, there you go.
Top tier television. So I definitely have a sense of comparison. But
yeah,
I mean, what the show has going for it is, once again, Maggie and James. Like, I normally don't like Maggie in a feature film. The kindergarten teacher, she was great in. Really, really good. And in this long series format where she really gets to inhabit a character, the way that we see certain actors really get to stretch their legs in these limited series, it's very special. And what she's able to do with her looks, and because we know who she is, when she does that look, we know that she's really, really hurt, but she's pretending to not be in this moment.
Yeah.
Those are really special flourishes that this show gets to have because of her talent.
Yeah.
James Franco's just stupidly muscular body inhabiting these different outfits.
Yeah.
Doing these different things, pretending to be scared as one brother, pretending to be dominant as the other. These are just... This is what the show was in season 1, and it's really unfortunate it's gone.
Yeah. Well, with any luck, we could recenter on James Franco as we see him try to, chase the future he wants, and that we hear him talking about in the last episode.
But we're going to jump a decade, so if he's still chasing the same dream in a decade, then he failed.
It's true.
Right?
Exactly.
Because he should be living
Who
it
knows?
by then.
Maybe season 1 or episode 1 is him in Connecticut.
Yeah, maybe. And then the mob comes and murders his whole family, and the rest of it is him doing the Taken.
The Punisher.
Yeah.
Yes. Could be dope.
I mean, as much criticism as I have for the runtime, I am very happy with the choice that they made to give Darlene at least some time to show her ascension, and that final conversation she has where she's like, "You were playing the pimp."
Oh, great conversation. Yeah.
And now you never should have let me see you act, because now I know who you are, and I know that you're just playing a part for. And then she explains that you're just playing a part for the girl. You're playing the part of the pimp. There's just this great moment that it really solidified my criticism of the whole beginning of the season, not spending enough time with her, because that's what she gives you. That really grounded performance that what's her name? That went to LA. Lori doesn't have that. Lori does not have what Darlene has, and that's really special. Yeah.
Yeah, there is kind of a world weariness to Darlene. Her just having seen some shit, and the realness with which she delivers those lines. Like, it's an expository line in a sense. Like, many other characters could have delivered that, and it wouldn't have resonated in the same way.
Yeah, and it's this intangible thing where is it because she's going to college? Is it because she has her own job now? Is it because she told the truth to her boyfriend and her boyfriend still wants her?
Good moment.
Is it because she's reading all these books?
Yeah.
Where is she getting this sense of humanity from that she's conveying on the screen? And it's just, some performers have it, some don't.
Yeah.
Nothing against a performer that doesn't have it, they just don't have it. And Darlene has it.
Yeah. It's hard to know where her role is going to go in season 3.
Oh, she's gone. She's written out.
Done. Think she's done. In a way, it is sort of a completion of her arc.
If she comes back, then I'll be sad.
Yeah.
And maybe that's a good narrative choice.
Yeah.
But if she were to come back, it would be under very negative circumstances.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. Unless They just wanted to give us the satisfaction of seeing what it looks like for a person to have been in this world and to fully get out of it.
Yes. That would be nice. I wouldn't mind an opening.
Yeah.
Right. But then I don't want to spend the rest of the season with her. Like I want to be in the
I don't know if we could spend a whole season with her in college.
Yeah.
But
because to me this show is grime.
Yeah.
So if she's in the show, then she's in the grime. And I don't want to see her in the grime. But if, say, she goes to school, decides she wants to really make a difference and become a community leader or a cop, and she becomes the partner of the African-American cop.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Great way to bring her back in. But I just, that feels a little bit tangential and fake. So I'd maybe just say, have her, maybe she's on the corner there taking the bus with her bags.
Yeah.
Maybe she's running a business across the way from the Deuce.
Yeah.
But don't have her in the grid.
Yeah. With how good that conversation was, it might be just right to tie it up there.
Mm. Yeah. And I'd like to see her in the chai. They can write her into the chai.
There you go. Move on.
I guess final thoughts on the show?
I think I'm still higher, 4.5. Not really. I've still really enjoyed it, despite some of those quibbles that we've talked about.
Few quibbles we didn't mention is what's going on with the I guess happening as far as the gay sub conversation of the show. With selling the restaurant to the mob so that he can get money when he didn't want the mob to be involved in the first place, to start plays which aren't going to make any money. I think the last conversation we have with the guy who's trying to reform the state or the city is him or the man he just slept with asks him something derogatory about his family, and he goes, no, I'm just a man with a family who likes to have sex with men. So I'm just not quite getting as much out of this arc as I thought I was going to get as far as the gay subtext. Like I thought we were going to really get into the beginning of the AIDS conversation.
Yeah, I did too.
Or establish something else about the business community and maybe what they're able to do to try to defend themselves from a fiscal standpoint.
Yeah.
And it, like, there's a lot of open threads that never cohesed together. I think there was another thing with Jewish shell corporations.
Yeah, I remember that.
What was it? The
parlors, right?
The parlors, yeah. I was.
Yeah, that's how the mob looking for the
keyword. Yeah. So there's just there's a lot of open threads when the show ends that I don't feel good about.
Yeah.
But I love Maggie, love James, like the red hot stuff that we see.
Yeah.
Darlene, Method Man.
Great
all
stuff.
Good. And sayonara to Method Man and Darlene, hopefully.
Until next season.
Should we record another episode?
Let's do it.
Run! Go! Get to the chopper!
We have to go.
I'm coming with you.
That was brilliant.